ClemFM is radio at its best, tuned to a static frequency, or better yet turned off, unplugged, and entirely dismantled. This episode is titled 50 Things You Don't Want to Know about serial actor Jared Leto. For his role in Fight Club, Jared Leto bleached his pubes and butthole. Jared Leto has a long-standing feud with Jared the Subway guy, over who is indeed the worst Jared of them all. Jared Leto's favourite shark is the hammerhead, which personally I think is a ridiculous shark to have as favourite. Jared Leto is so stingy, he sold other people's souls for a shot at the big time. Jared Leto loves to party. He's always eating slices of cake off paper plates, whilst wearing a small conical hat. Jared Leto had a battered, dog-eared copy of the novel The Catcher in the Rye in his back pocket throughout the filming of Chapter 27, because Jared Leto doesn't give a fucking shit about books. Jared Leto is a very superstitious actor. Before doing a scene, he has to be assured that Bigfoot is in hibernation, or he won't even come out of his trailer. Jared Leto is so crass. When he farts, I bet he doesn't even go to the bathroom to wipe his ass and make sure nothing came out. Jared Leto is an anagram of Gerald Toe, which I think is 100 times better as a name. In the film Chapter 27, Jared Leto played Mark David Chapman, the murderer of John Lennon, and proved to everyone that he could play a no-good rap bastard, motherfucker, on screen instead of just in his day-to-day life. Jared Leto once tripped balls and thought he was eating a guy's face off, when all it turned out to be was the harmless face of a barn owl. Jared Leto is so method, for Girl Interrupted he grew his own beard, shaved it off, then glued it back on again. Jared Leto wanted Edward Norton to really beat him up in their fight scene in Fight Club, but Edward Norton wanted it more. Jared Leto is a very sensitive performer. Whenever you stick pins deep in his skin, he always says, "Youch!" Jared Leto exists on 4 hours of sleep a night, and 8 to 10 hours of sleep a day. Jared Leto started his band 30 Seconds to Mars in his garage, and had to move a few of his luxury cars to make room for all of the expensive new gear he bought for the musicians he had hired to be his bandmates. Jared Leto once found a dead body while on a fishing trip and went straight to the police to tell them that some dead asshole was ruining his weekend away. Jared Leto is a respected actor, but one group of people he hasn't yet earned the respect of are those guys who wear a fez with horns and drive around in tiny cars. Jared Leto once left me a bad Airbnb review when I stayed at his chateau. I thought it was a shatter, and that breaking all of the windows and glassware was encouraged. For his upcoming role in the movie Morbius, Jared Leto drank a bucket of blood between takes, so he would have an excuse to use the bathroom every 10 minutes. Jared Leto's performance as Mark David Chapman got him a nomination for Best Actor by the Academy of Motion Picture Fuckheads. Jared Leto is not the type of person to crack under pressure, though he is the type to pressure a person into giving him crack. Jared Leto was able to find pathos in Mark David Chapman when he played him in Chapter 27, which is amazing, because that guy is a real fucking son of a bitch. Jared Leto would have been a great snake oil salesman, as he has a steady supply which he secretes himself. Jared Leto is so generous with money, he often gives a ton of it away in exchange for luxury goods and services. Jared Leto is so power hungry, he munches on extension cords all day long, trying to get a taste of the juicy power that's inside. Jared Leto is so old, his name should be Gerald Leto. Jared Leto is so thoughtful. On the set of Suicide Squad, he gave Margot Robbie the freshest dead rat he could find. Jared Leto considers himself a Ronin, which is basically just a vagrant with a weapon, so it is somewhat accurate. Jared Leto got his first lucky break when he was waitering at a private Hollywood function and found a bag of cocaine on the coffee table, which he stole. Jared Leto makes time for the people that matter most to him, the Hollywood elite and powerful record company executives. Jared Leto's most prized possession is a bar of soap Brad Pitt made for him while filming Fight Club, during which Jared Leto refused to bathe. Jared Leto's film contract states that the entire crew must look at him constantly when he's on set, just in case he feels like berating someone for no reason. Jared Leto was raised by rabbits, but the rabbits had to banish him forever because he wouldn't stop eating their young all the time. Jared Leto gained so much weight for his role in Chapter 27 that his finger wouldn't fit inside a gun's trigger guard during a pivotal scene where an absolute fucking dickhead murders a genius. Jared Leto speaks 5 languages, none of them fluently. Jared Leto can solve a Rubik's Cube in seconds. Then he smashes the cube to bits, so no one else can attempt to break his record. Jared Leto is a Renaissance man. He acts like the condom hasn't been invented yet, and is probably carrying mutated strains of ancient contagions. Jared Leto is a giant in his field. His field is a small patch of land with a model city built on it that he stomps around naked, making Godzilla noises. Jared Leto was banned from acting for a year because he intentionally gave a bad performance and put money on himself for a Razzie nomination. When he worked at a gas station at 17, his boss always said that Jared Leto was special, but he meant it in a mean way. To get into the character of Mark David Chapman, Jared Leto put on a ton of weight and became the biggest piece of shit possible. Jared Leto is such a method actor. For his role in Panic Room, he actually thought those cornrows looked cool. Jared Leto is so cheap, he doesn't even wear his own clothes in the films he appears in. Jared Leto walks into a bar. Then he walks into another bar. And another. At this point, he realizes that they are the bars of a prison cell, and that he's landed in the county lockup yet again. Jared Leto is into road safety. He always checks that passengers in other cars are wearing seatbelts before he starts ramming into them. Jared Leto actually got face tattoos for his role as the Joker, but the makeup department had to cover them up with fake tattoos because they looked really shitty. Jared Leto once performed emergency surgery on himself by walking off stage at a 30 Seconds to Mars gig he was horrifically dying at. Jared Leto once met Marlon Brando and learned a lot from him about making every interaction you have as difficult as humanly possible. Jared Leto came up with the name of his band 30 Seconds to Mars when he was nearing the chocolate bar stand at the supermarket. Incidentally, this was while he was gaining weight to play massive douchebag Mark David Chapman. Jared Leto is such a method actor, he covertly shot up all of his fellow cast members with drugs on Requiem for a Dream. But being the consummate professional, he stayed clean. Jared Leto is such a focused actor. You can't break his concentration if there's a bag of cocaine on the table. He'll just keep staring right at it. Thanks to Jared Leto for being such a good sport if he ever hears this. And a very special fuck you to Mark David Chapman. I sought the help of a paranormal investigator. He said that man-glow isn't something he's ever encountered, but he did find a passage in Esprit Taubon that simply stated, malicious, malignant, antithetical to its name. This being is utterly inhuman, and radiates only darkness. Which to me, doesn't sound good.